Hello, welcome back to another Warhammer Fantasy Battle Report. Today, my Ogres have set up here just straight up mash up against 2,004 points of Warriors of Chaos. Both armies are being developed right now, and we just set up for an all-out brawl. So the Ogres are here, setting up to defend their lines, starting from my right. I have 4 lead belchers and a fire belly, 6 bowls, and my BSB. In front of them, 10 Gnoblar trappers and saber tusk. Then I have 8 iron guts with my slaughtermaster in there, 9 I believe actually, 4 Mournfang Cavalry with the banner of Dragonhide banner, 3 Yetis up front, you can see them right up there, an iron blaster, another saber tusk, and a Gorger there that's roaming off the field, ready to come in once he feels he's ready. So I've set up like this. Some distractor models with the saber tusks out to the side. I kept this saber tusk way out left here, so should he be picked off or shot off or panicked off, hopefully no one else will be scared and run away. I'm hoping to use the iron blaster to take out whatever I can and just mitigate the chaff and damage. I've got my Mournfang in the back, so they're within my leadership bubble and hidden, and the idea is I'll clear up a path and then be able to charge through that path, keeping them protected from the charge and allowing them to make the charge. And that is the main goal of this setup here. Unfortunately, I was not able to get any man-eaters there hanging off, tracking down some pirates or doing some crazy stuff. They just didn't show up for the game today. So on the far side, trundling onto the field, is this brutal hell cannon that sits here behind this fence, as always. Nicely painted setup, a bunch of Chaos Hounds, a brand new unit of Skullcrushers. These things are pretty dirty, and we're hoping to see what happens if they get a chance to set up between battle between them and the Mournfang directly. That'd be fun. And then here's the War Shrine, just looking imposing back there, just ready to mete out whatever damage it can and just take me out, buffing up its units and it's the other units, etc. Moving to my opponent's left flank, he's got a horde of marauders with nobody in there, and just plain and simple, and then 25 warriors with BSB and Sorcerer Lord. So the Sorcerer Lord's pretty just dirty. He's a Tzeentch lore. We talked quite a bit about that after the game, figuring out if that's the best lore or not. And then the BSB is just a brutal exalted hero, just awesome as always. And then 5 knights on the far side, and they have the banner where it's really hard for me to shoot at him. So he's got, as a typical Warriors army, just some really hard-hitting units, and I just didn't want to mess with them. So getting the first roll, winning the roll off, I immediately opt to go first. Moving most things up just a little tiny bit. I get the saber tusk and the Yetis out there, just so I can mess up with that side. I get the iron blaster up on the hill so I can see everybody. Not worried about the Mournfang charging right away, so they hang out behind the hill. And then I have my iron guts move forward just a little bit. Same with the Ogres. The Gnoblars stay in front, a nice little meat shield. Chicken Ogres, God, that's just weak. Shift up the lead belchers, and then move the saber tusk out just to be a threat to the knights. Just make them think about that. That's the only thing they'll be able to reach, and so they'll have to make a choice. Here's just a look from my battlefield, from my lines. What I'm looking at, you could see how everything's lining up with the Skullcrushers behind the Hounds, running at the Yetis, and the big mass of guys coming here on my right flank, just directly at me. The idea is to keep the knights out to the side, so I can then pick apart the other units one at a time or separately. I've got a bunch of magic. I've got a fair bit of shooting with my lead belchers and my iron blaster, and so I'm just going to be peppering these guys as much as possible, try to take them out and keep the big units out of charging me. So his turn 1, he moves up, he puts the hounds right in front of my Yetis, which I'm fine with. The Skullcrushers, though frenzied, are stuck behind and can't do anything. I shoot at either the War Shrine or the Battle Cannon, but with my Iron Blaster it lands like 1 inch shy and doesn't bounce. It was such a shame. But so everybody's sitting there fine. He shoots with the Hell Cannon. Doesn't do a whole lot. These units move up, and then the War Shrine buffs the Warriors of Chaos, which is just brutal. He keeps them back a little bit in reserve, just making sure that I won't get any like big charges off on him, and moves the knights up, knowing that he's got free range of the flank. Again, was something else we discussed after the game, and I'll talk more about that later, hopefully. But he's coming up pretty hard on his left flank, my right, and I'd have to hold these guys off and just keep them busy for a little bit until I can get in with everybody else. So during his magic phase, he gets off the, I don't know if it's the Treason of Tzeentch or whatever, where he makes me fight myself. So the Iron Guts go and slaughter themselves. Luckily, the Slaughtermaster survives, and he miscasts doing so and puts a big old template and wounds both his General, Sorcerer Lord, and the Exalted Hero, BSB, which will come into play later. So they're running around on 1 wound less each, which I'm okay with. Ogre's turn 2. I shift up even a little bit more, throw the Gnoblars right out in front. Just tempting him. He'll have to charge, even though they're trappers. He'll just have to go in there. I put the Saber Tusk right in front of the Knights. That'll just be a nice little roadblock. Nothing else. This way I can shoot at him with the Firebelly and the Lead Belchers. And I'm probably out of charge range from his horde there into my Iron Guts. So I'm not too worried about anything here. I bring the Iron Blaster up so I can shoot the Knights right down the side. Of course that misses, fails utterly. I put the Mournfang on top of the hill and clear up in a path, so I have a nice charge right into his Marauders next round. And it's really hard to see, but behind my Yetis, which are just sitting in front of his hounds, holding them off for 1 more turn, I put the Saber Tusk so that he'll have to charge with his what are they called? The Skullcrushers. I'll flee, and then he'll run into the back of his hounds and fail a charge, stop there, and that'll hold them up for 1 more round, which I'm okay with. So as I say, I shoot with my Iron Blaster and miss. During my magic phase, I cast a pumped up Troll Guts, get it off, doing 1 wound to the unit or something like that. No big deal. But now everybody within 12 inches on my team has regeneration, which is just fantastic. Warrior's turn 2. He charges in to the Yetis with the hounds. As you can imagine, that goes definitely my way, and I slaughter them easily. But you can actually not see my Saber Tusk has fled from the Skullcrushers, and now the Skullcrushers are just stuck back there for 1 more round, which I'm okay with because they would just mow down this whole flank. So I kill the hounds to a hound. The Knights here charge the Saber Tusk. He valiantly sacrifices himself, and the Gnoblars here, buffed with regen, take a charge from the Chaos Warriors right in the flank, right in the face. Just brutal. Luckily, I think I killed 1 or 2 with the dangerous train checks, which is fine. But hopefully I will hold them up at least this round. I mean, if they come through, they'll charge into my bulls, which will be brutal, but that'll get really sticky really fast. But I we'll see what happens. Luck could have it with the regen and with everything else. I kill 1 of his guys. He only kills 5 Gnoblars. I roll Snake Eyes to stick, and all of a sudden, this whole flank is it's a lot of luck. This whole flank holds up just fine. You can see the knights have clearly defeated the Saber-Tusk and now are facing into here. So if these guys hadn't stood up, it would have been really tough scramble on this side. You know, looking back, I needed to have another line of when he overruns my Gnoblars, charges into something else, then I get to countercharge on my turn. Just silly move on my part. I've killed the hounds on this side. I reform for no apparent reason because I get to go next, and I'll just go put them in front of. Here you go. The Skullcrushers, somehow my Saber-Tusk rallies on a 4, which is great because he can't use my general's leadership, only hunters, and I don't have a hunter. So he rallies and can't move this round, but he's sitting over here, not a waste of points, and I'll get to use him later on. You'll notice here, I'll show you in the next picture coming right up, but I charge everything in to the Marauders, just ready to take them out. Really excited about this. I get this double charge in. I should be able to do a ton of wounds. I shift the Iron Blaster up right behind so I can shoot at the knights again. I take my BSB, who's the lone model here, and doesn't have a banner yet. I'm working on that. Out of the bulls, so, and then I shift the bulls back so that when he kills my Gnoblars, which I'm sure he will this time, hopefully I'll definitely be out of his charge arc. Well, he won't be able to overrun, first off. And then he'll have to pick his charges, etc., etc. But he can't charge my BSB. I get the bubble everywhere, and everything's just all set. I've got clear lines of shooting. So right now things are looking pretty darn good for me. I should be able to win this. I might even be able to overrun with the bulls into the side of the warriors. It's probably a little too tight, but that's okay. So that probably won't happen. And then I've shifted back the ogres, who have taken 2 wounds, and I pull the fire belly out, hide him behind the swamp, and then take out the lead belchers, back them up just to shoot everything I can at the knights. Now his knights will have to choose where they want to go, and it'll mean just some decision making. So, as you can imagine, these 2 units did pretty well. I didn't even use the breath weapon of the Dragonhide banner, and still absolutely annihilated this unit. Just absolutely crushed him. He did 1 wound to a Mournfang and took 1 more wound, killed 1 guy on my Iron Guts, and I killed 31, I think. So here's the number of dice. The 6s, or you count them up, add the 3, and then 6 more dice. Yeah, so that's 31 dice, 33 kills. Absolutely annihilate the thing. However, you'll notice he then rolls Snake Eyes. Unbelievable. 2 insane courage rolls that were just critical. So all of a sudden, we're thinking, wow, that changes how it all happens in the middle. So this is still my turn. So he's going to kill these Gnoblars, get to reform, and then he'll get to have his pick of charges and see where he wants to go. So all of a sudden, this becomes very, very interesting. Crazy rolls. His War Shrine's still hiding behind. Through shooting, so that last turn I got Troll Guts off. That was the only spell I got off, I think, the whole game. Maybe 1 toughness buff. Shooting, I kill 1 knight, which is just great. Whittle them down. I think they need to just hang back and then come in as a flanker, and they're the ultimate flanker. So he kills my Gnoblars, reforms. He's going to be in the front of my Iron Guts, but that's alright. That's a pretty beefy unit of Chaos Warriors. Sorry, Warriors of Chaos, just radical. So, his turn 3, he charges into my Yetis. He kills 2 of them. Note, I kill 1 in return. The -1 to hit the Yetis is makes it a little bit tougher, and I get pretty lucky. So I flee through the Saber-Tusk, who then flees, and so these guys are running away. Looks like the Yeti's chasing the Saber-Tusk, which is great. Here's just this huge combat. The Skullcrushers reformed so that they're facing my flank with my Mournfang, and now it becomes, okay, how is this going to go down? This becomes very interesting. Luckily, I've got the Fencer's Blades on my Slaughtermaster, which makes that unit very tough to hit. I go into a challenge against the BSB, and I kill his BSB, taking 1 wound in return. Really lucky on my part, but he only had 1 wound left, which means that I believe I win combat, or I only lost by 1, just because being in combat and having my general there, the frontage was such that he just couldn't attack a whole lot else, and the weapon skill 10 made a huge difference. The Mournfang kill the rest of the Marauders and are now out of combat, and I shift over so that I'm full front on here. You can see closer just how it's shaping up. At the end of turn 3, this is how it looks. I've got 1 wound on, I think I did it backwards, the wounds for my Mournfang, but I've got 2 wounds on 1 guy. And then my Iron Guts are whittled down, but they're still going to be able to pack a punch, and I'm going to try to buff them during my turn. So coming into my turn 4, I charge him with my BSB. You can't see him. He's kind of tucked in the corner there, but now he's attacking the warriors. I charge my Mournfang into the War Shrine, which he sticks just to have a fun game. And then I put the lead belchers up right in front of the the Knights of Chaos, the Chaos Knights. My bulls are out of the picture because they'd fled from a Chaos Knight charge before, and they end up rallying here. I put my Iron Blaster up on the hill. My Yeti rallies. The Saber Tusk way off the picture here. Flees right to the edge of the board, ends up rallying on a 4 again, so I saved those 21 points, but that's pretty great. And the Gorger has still yet to come in, which is mostly my fault. I think I forgot to roll once or twice, and I've rolled 1s each time, so it wouldn't really matter. But all of a sudden things are looking much better for the Ogres, where for a while they were looking pretty grim. Right now it's all contingent upon me surviving the big battle in the middle, but I've killed off his BSB, and his Sorcerer Lord's only doing so much. So yet again I get a nice lineup for a shot with my Iron Blaster, and shoot at the Hell Cannon again. It bounces, it lands right in front and just misses, doesn't even hit. Or maybe one time I hit and then I rolled a 1 to wound. I mean, anyways, the model looks cool. It's great. I like having him roam around, just kicking butt back there. Before combat, this is what it looks like. I'm feeling pretty good. A lot of Mournfang charging in here. He kills 2 more of my Iron Guts, so the unit's almost gone. But my General and BSB are holding out pretty well, just because he can only do so much wounding. I think this round, I believe, of fighting, I kill off his Sorcerer Lord with just plenty of wounds being put on him, and unfortunately, just a couple of bad rolls on his ward save, which is a 3 up, but he's only got 2 wounds left, so that's always failable. He charges in during his turn 4. He charges his knights into the lead belchers, so things don't look great there. And I beat the War Shrine, which then fled off the board, not rallying, and then reformed to face the Skullcrushers, who then charge in to my Mournfang. You'll note here I have the little piece of cardboard that's my +1 toughness buff, and that'll make them a little bit more survivable. And that's the only other spell I got off the whole game. Just brutal, just brutal. And this led us to a conversation about the Tzeentch lore, which is really powerful, except all of a sudden he would get into combat, or he would have something happen, I just wouldn't be able to use his spells. So we're thinking there's some much more interesting options here. So after this round of combat, you note his warriors are down to 1 single rank. I have 4 wounds left on my general, 1 wound left on my standard bearer in the unit, and no wounds on my BSB, which You know, these Chaos Warriors are just warriors of chaos. Yeah, Chaos Warriors are just brutal. He wins combat, I break, and he doesn't catch either. By now, he did a wound on my BSB, and so these guys run. So I'm happy with that. Totally happy with that. I just lucked out there, big time. You know, he could only go after one, and he chose to go after the general, which is fine. Here's an overview. My lead belchers, I only took 4 wounds, so 1 died, but that gives me a full rank. And we did that combat first, and they were steadfast on my general's leadership rollable, and they stick. In the background, I don't think we've rolled off the battle yet. After combat, I've killed one of his. He was not able to do any wounds to me. You know, I just get a bunch of attacks, which is just awesome. I think he was a little mistaken about his toughness, which would have given him +1 and helped. He ends up losing combat, flees. I chase him down and then run into this statuette here. I believe catching him, I'd be able to reform, but I didn't do that. I just stick here. A huge win to the Mournfang, but I had 4. He had 2. I was buffed. He wasn't. So looking straight down on the whole battlefield, this is what it looks like with a tight combat here between the lead belchers and the knights. He only has 4 knights, which is why my lead belchers were steadfast. He's only got 4 warriors left, just sitting in the middle. Still powerful, but he didn't catch my guys, so my BSB should have died just from fleeing. So anyways, that's a mistake. Finally, turn 5, the Gorger comes in. I'm going to quote-unquote threaten the Hell Cannon, which is probably not much of a threat, but luckily the Hell Cannon misfired twice, caused miscast once, and then ate a guy once, but nothing critical happened there. It was just pretty funny. So I guess it's fitting. My BSB does not rally, and he's sitting in the back there. You can see the Sabertusk did rally. You know, I guess he's got those points for the BSB, but it really doesn't matter because when Mournfang now turned to face, I've got 4 knights, 4 Warriors of Chaos that I'm just going to be able to charge them with my bowls, probably annihilate them. If not, the Mournfang will come into the back of the knights or the back of the warriors. My lone Yeti has rallied. He's walking his way over towards the Hell Cannon, and we just called it here. Huge victory to the Ogres. A lot of luck on both sides. The luck paid out for my point, and I think it was a big deal to have set up the way I did. He had his cavalry out to the side, which made them, you know, only be so much of a force. He was hoping to get them in the flank and run down my line, but I was able to mitigate that, and that made a huge deal. Thank you for watching. Talk to you next time.